It is an honor and a pleasure to introduce you to Congressman John Lewis, a friend of the home building industry.
Hello, John. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. You come from a great city, Baltimore.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Thank you for those kind words of introduction. I must tell you that I'm pleased and delighted to be here this afternoon. Thank you for all of your great work. Thank all of you for coming to Atlanta, coming to Georgia. You're very welcome. You're in the heart of the 5th Congressional District of Georgia. I'd like to commend all of you for your hard work to promote home ownership, housing affordability for all income levels. Your expertise is greatly needed to meet the housing need of the nation's diverse and growing population. I want to thank Bob Mitchell, your president, for working so hard with Congress to successfully pass the low-income housing tax credit. I also want to thank Jerry Howard, CEO of this great organization, and Bill Kilmer, your head lobbyist for the National Association, for all of your commitment and dedication in pursuing a tax policy agenda that preserve the federal support of housing alternative and home building industry in a responsible manner. At this point, I would like to congratulate the incoming president, Bruce Smith, and wish you well. I look forward to working with you in the 108th Congress. Now again, thank you for inviting a politician. I know you're going to hear 2 or 3 others later, but thank you for inviting me to come by. I didn't grow up in a big city like Baltimore, or Washington, or New York, or Los Angeles, or Chicago, or New Orleans, or Philadelphia, or Buffalo. I grew up on a farm 50 miles from Montgomery, near a little town called Troy in southeast Alabama. My father was a sharecropper, a tenant farmer. But many years ago, back in 1944, when I was 4 years old, and I do remember when I was 4, my father had saved $300, and with the $300, he bought 110 acres of land. There's a lot of land for $300. My 86-year-old mother is still living on this farm that my father bought in 1944. On this farm, we raised a lot of cotton, a lot of corn, lots of peanuts, hogs, cows, and chickens. I know as great home builders, you're very smart. You can build beautiful and lovely homes, beautiful buildings, but you don't know anything about growing peanuts. Now, if you come and visit my congressional office in Washington, or any member of the Georgia delegation, the 11 members of the House and the 2 members of the Senate from Georgia, the first thing the staff will offer you will be a Coca-Cola, because Atlanta is the home of the Coca-Cola bottling company. And Coca-Cola provide all members of the Georgia delegation with an adequate supply of Coca-Cola products to be made available to our visitors. The next thing the staff will offer you will be some peanuts, because in this great state, we raise a lot of peanuts. I don't eat too many of those peanuts. The Georgia Peanut Commission provide all of us with peanuts to give to our visitors. I don't eat too many of those peanuts, because I ate so many peanuts when I was growing up, I just don't want to see any more peanuts. Sometimes when I get on a flight to fly from Atlanta to Washington, or Washington back to Atlanta, the flight attendant tried to give me some peanuts. And I said, no, thank you. I just don't want to see any peanuts. As I said before, I know you're very smart. You're gifted. Very large organization. Distinguished members of the board of directors. Wonderful members of the executive committee. Hundreds and thousands of members. You're very smart. You can build. You keep the American economy moving and growing. But you don't know anything about raising chickens. Let me tell you what I had to do as a young boy growing up in Alabama during the 40s and the 50s. I had to take the fresh eggs, mark them with a pencil, place them under the setting hen, and wait for 3 long weeks for the little chicks to hatch. You follow me? You don't follow me. Don't try to fool me. I would take these little eggs and put them under the setting hen. And when the little chicks were hatched, I would fool these setting hens. I would cheat on these setting hens. I would take these little chicks and give them to another hen. Or put them in a box with a lantern. Raise them on their own. Get some more fresh eggs and mark them with a pencil. Place them under the setting hen. Encourage the setting hen to still their nest for another 3 weeks. I know some of you smart builders are saying, now, John Lewis, why do you mark those fresh eggs with a pencil before you place them under the setting hen? Well, from time to time, another hen would get on that same nest. And you had to be able to tell the fresh eggs from the eggs that were already under the setting hen. I kept on cheating on these setting hens. And when I look back on it, it was not the right thing to do. It was not the moral thing to do. It was not the most loving thing to do. It was not the most non-violent thing to do. But I kept on cheating on these setting hens. I was never quite able to save $18.98 to order the most inexpensive hatchery from the Susan Roebuck store here in Atlanta. We used to get that big catalog, and we call it the Whoosh book. I wish I had this. I wish I had that. So I was never quite able to save enough money to get the hatchery, and I just kept on cheating on these setting hens and fooling these setting hens. As a young boy, I wanted to be a minister. I wanted to preach. One of my uncles had Santa Claus to bring me a Bible. So from time to time, with the help of my brothers and sisters, after I started speaking and preaching, when I was only about 7.5, 8 years old, we would gather all of our chickens together in the chicken house or in the chicken yard, like you're gathered here in this hall this afternoon. And we would have church. The chickens, along with my sisters and brothers and first cousin, made up the congregation, made up the audience. And I would start speaking. And these chickens would become very quiet. When I look back on it, some of these chickens would bow their heads. Some would shake their heads. They never quite said amen. But I'm convinced, Mr. President, that the great majority of these chickens that I preached to in the 40s and in the 50s tended to listen to me better than many of my colleagues listen to me today in the Congress. And some of these chickens were a little more productive. They produce eggs. Well, that's enough of that. I realize there are a number of important issues that you're concerned about, but I want to take this time today to talk about what I think would be very important to the housing industry and the future of all of us who live in this country, who live in this part of America, who live on this little piece of real estate we call America as we enter the new century. I've taken a great deal of interest in what I call saving the old. We must build the new, but we must also preserve the old. I, along with Representative Clay Shaw, have introduced the Historic Homeownership Assistance Act. This legislation would extend 20% tax credit to homeowners who rehabilitate or purchase a new home and occupy it as a primary residency. The Homeownership Act will serve as a powerful incentive to return investment to our older residential neighborhoods. Nationally, historic districts tend to be concentrated in the most economically depressed areas of our cities, towns, and rural areas. The Home Ownership Assistance Act would rebuild neighborhoods and bring a residential base back to distressed communities. I know, and I don't have to tell any of you here, it is like preaching to the choir. We all must remember and know that home ownership is the hallmark of the American dream. Unfortunately, when existing residential neighborhoods are in decline, the entire fabric of our community is put in jeopardy. So I say to all of you of this great organization, you must never ever give up. Never give in. Never give out. You must keep the faith and keep your eyes on the prize. I want to close by telling you a little story. And I don't get to tell this story on the Ways and Means Committee. And I won't get to tell it next Tuesday as we look at the President's proposed tax package when we hold the first hearing. But when I was growing up outside of Troy, Alabama, on a farm, I had an aunt by the name of Seneva. And my aunt Seneva lived in what we call a shotgun house. I know as builders of great homes, as beautiful buildings, you've never seen a shotgun house. You don't know what a shotgun house is. Oh, you haven't seen one, don't try it. My Aunt Seneva lived in a shotgun house. She didn't have a green manicured lawn. She had a simple plain dirt yard. And sometime at night, you can look up through the ceiling, through the tin roof of this old house, you can count the stars. From time to time, she would go out into the woods and get branches from a dogwood tree. And she would make a broom. And she called that broom the breast broom. And she would sweep this dirt yard very clean. My Aunt Seneva lived in a shotgun house. Now, for those baby boomers, let me tell you, the baby boom builders, what a shotgun house is. Those of you who never lived in rural America, in this part of the country. In the nonviolent sense, a shotgun house is an old house where you can bounce a ball through the front door and it will go straight out the back door. In the military sense, a shotgun house is an old house where you can fire a gun through the front door and the bullet will go straight out the back door. My Aunt Seneva lived in a shotgun house. But one Saturday afternoon, by this time of day, a group of my young sisters and brothers and a few of my first cousins, about 12 or 15 of us young children, were playing in her dirt yard, and an unbelievable storm came up. The wind started blowing, the thunder started rolling, the lightning started flashing, and the rain started beating on the tin roof of this old shotgun house. My aunt became terrified. She started crying. She thought the old house was going to blow away. She got us all on the inside. And when one corner of this old house appeared to be lifting from its foundation, she had us to hold hands to walk to that corner to try to hold the house down with our little bodies. When the other corner appeared to be lifting, she had us to walk to that side to try to hold this house down with our little bodies. We were little children walking with the wind, but we never, ever left the house. So I said to you as home builders, the wind may blow, the thunder may roll, the lightning may flash, and the rain may beat on our old house, call it the American house, call it the world house. But you must never, ever leave the house. You must stay together. For you're the lifeblood, you're the heart and soul of the American economy. So walk with the wind. Keep the faith. Keep your eyes on the prize. And let the spirit of the Home Builders Association be your guide. Thank you very much and enjoy yourself in Georgia.